and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. Hello there, beloved Ascension pioneers, and welcome to this 888 Gateway video. I'm still on my holiday and my retreat. This is my inner spiritual retreat, and it's very powerful, it's very intense, but somehow I couldn't get around not doing this video for all of us. And when I was on a recent retreat in nature wilderness, I went for 4 days and 3 nights, just me and nature, my home, nothing else. I really was inspired to channel, and it's kind of inspirational how I received this guidance. It's very simple. All of a sudden I have this sense that I need to channel something. There's a message coming through. So I was doing some reading, and I finished this book called Channeling, and I will later present a little bit of that book to you because it's super amazing. It's very simple, it's very beautiful, and as you know, I don't often read that much. I'm really not a reader, but when I discovered these Viva Moose books, I was so into them, and I already this summer finished all 5 of them, as well as working on my own books. So this was quite an intense working summer for me in a way, but I don't call it work. For me, it's really divine creation. So when I set to meditate today, and before I started doing the channeling, I had such an incredible feeling of joy. And I will later share and read this channel message to all of you because it's just so beautiful. It's meant for all the ascending souls on this trajectory that we call the physical ascension pathway, the full embodiment of the soul. And I really resonate with these books because Viva Moose talks about the same thing, how we are meant to embody our soul. We're not supposed to go in these spiritual hierarchies, you know, only because we're truly meant to enrich the lives of sourceness as it was envisioned for this planet and beyond. And we're the ones that are making it happen. I got a really powerful message of us being the legacy for this planet, creating this template that the future generations are going to kind of embed upon or imprint upon through our own experience, which is kind of like one of a kind. And this is what also came through the channeling as much as many other things. But I want to really recommend this book to all of you. It's really cheap anyway. It's beautiful. Although it's called Channeling, may this title not surprise you as well or mislead you, because it's not literally on channeling. It's more like, how do you become a pure vessel? How do you learn the laws of divine communication? How important communication actually is for us. So the reason why I've chosen this, or better said, Spirit chosen this topic through me today for the 888 Gateway, and then I'm going to really take that break until the solar eclipse, which is on 21st of August. I'm going to work on the 3rd book. And I needed a little bit of break. And the reason why I went on this spiritual quest and retreat for 4 days and 3 nights was because whenever I have this, I prepare physically to embody a new level. And recently someone said to me, well, where did you go? Because I didn't have an announcement that I'm leaving, but I shared with you in my videos that I'm going to be on a holiday mode. And when I say holiday, it's not really holiday like the traditional 3rd dimensional sense. It's a spiritual retreat most of the time for me. And sometimes I'm really surprised because people always expect me in a way to always be there or to always, you know, announce when I'm leaving, but some of the times I'm not guided or things happen so fast and I didn't know until the last moment I'm gonna go. So we have to be spontaneous. We have to have an increased level of trust that everything is as it's supposed to be. So even when I'm not there, my presence always is. You know, sometimes people say, well, come back, and I'm like, but I'm always here. You know, my presence is. It doesn't matter where my body is, and when my body is somewhere else, it's still within my sacred space, and it's still my work that I do as a pillar, as a creation pillar of light. And it's always, you know, I was reading intensely on my retreat these books, and I was studying, and this is how it always looks for me. This is how my life is, you know. It's fully dedicated to this path. So when I saw myself in these, I have to share this with you before we go into the channel and the message for the 888 Gateway. I saw myself becoming so strong, and there were some of the things that still bothered me when I went somewhere on a retreat alone. It felt like I still didn't complete my mastery. I still sometimes felt a little scared if there's going to be maybe an animal. I couldn't fall asleep, you know, in my tent, or I was sometimes still a bit agitated or felt nervous energy. I didn't fully trust, to summarize it, okay? So this time when I went, you know, each time was more beautiful this year. And in comparison to my last year's experiences, I grew and expanded so much through these kind of like training grounds. For me, that's like a spiritual training and physical body training, because the body is becoming the vessel for spirit in full essence. So when I went there, and when I came back, when I come back is when I noticed the expansion taking place. You know, when you leave and when you're there, you don't see it fully, but when you come back, you see the level of strength, of divine neutrality. And this is going to be part of the channel as well, what truly divine neutrality means, because it's not being passive, it's not being mundane, it's not just living on this trivial surface. It's something completely different, what creation-based divine neutrality is. So whenever I go and retreat, I strengthen myself, I become a pure channel, and I need to purify a lot before these gateways happen, because I'm meant to receive a lot for the greater group. And I want to talk to you why this is such an important time for that, and for us to understand what the group means, because this is going to be also part of this message before I read it. It's very important, and a lot of you might be guided to retreat at this time, especially between the two eclipses. So when I'm recording this, it's an Aquarius full moon, lunar eclipse, and then we're going to have a solar one. And it's going to be another new moon in Leo. So you can see this Aquarius lunation sits right in between. It sits in the middle of these two lunations that were both new moons in Leo. And I want to talk to you about the Leo and Aquarius polarity, because when you see the Leo as an aspect of individuality, and then Aquarius, which is all about group and transcendence and building a larger community, you can see that it's all interconnected. You can't have a solid group communication. And you know, that's why I advised you to this book on channeling, because it's all about divine communication and the four bodies, the merge, the unification, the communicating with yourself, soul perspective, and all else, because we're all parts of source. So when you have a solid base, when you are your interdependent, fully independent being, when you can manifest everything you want through your own individuality, which is what I do when I take those trips alone, it's really empowering for me. And sometimes it feels like everyone's there doing their thing, and it's all this physical perspective that people are living, and I'm there alone. And the magnitude of how I am is different. It's just a different space or quality. And it goes out into the whole. So if I did not develop this strong individuality, which is what Leo now supports for us, well, helps us to support that, then we can use that for the advantage of our Aquarian nature, which is this telepathic transference and communication that happens through groups. And just today on Instagram, I wrote this beautiful post. What does it actually mean to be a part of the group? Because the group dynamics begins with your soul, the group complex of your soul. So when you are transcending certain aspects that you felt you are, or you associated yourself with, you release them into the greater group complex, and from that complex of your soul group dynamics, you take on new perspectives. You become a larger, more expanded unit. So because you're now functioning on the group level, you're also attracting the frequency on the group level here on Earth, and you will see that will be a part of the channel message, because the 888 as an infinity gateway, every year it happens. We call it the Lion's Gate, whatever you want to call it. It's always been about the infinity gateway. And this is teaching us, those of us who are in the ascended pathway, that we're going to have to start, or it's just naturally going to happen, right? But more consciously we can do it as well. So we will have to start creating in new ways, and it's going to be more magnetics through the ascended nature. I'm gonna read you some paragraphs from this book, okay? I want to do that as well, because there's some amazing words that I don't want to recreate in my own way, because they're already so perfectly expressed here. And my own words will come through the channel message, okay? So the first thing I want to say is that the infinity gateway is all about learning to become an infinite being, which means that whenever you're not infinite, or you can't fulfill your desires by yourself, you're still expecting something from the outside to either fulfill you, to help you a little bit, or, you know, have it the easy way. You're still not mastering yourself. And like Vivamu says, there's no cheating into your mastery, because it has to be through mastery. It has to be developed from within, because then you're creating the worlds of reality in any kind of way. You really become the aspect of source that is the great alchemist, because you're working with the all of creation, with all of life. So you can't have a solid community, which is communion, right? It begins with your inner spirit communion, without developing that individuality. So this is what this time is teaching us in a very strong, emphasized way. So now August, as you know, and I've been writing this down so I don't forget it, why is this the 888 gateway this year? Not just 88, because we have a triple digit. Because this day as well, because August is a 9 universal month, and with 9, you know, every number adds up back into itself. It's like it folds into itself. So we have an 8th of August, 8th of 8th, and the number of the whole day, when you add up the numbers of the year, which is 2017 to it, you get again 8. You get 26, which, you know, it calculates into 8. So this is actually a triple gateway. That's where this year it's even more potent and increased. And it is about the graduation and soul maturity I've been talking about in my Ascension update. In this video, you're gonna see every year, I think during the 8A gateway, I'm guided to channel. And I don't always channel. You know, I'm always channeling because I am a living light channel. But, you know, like really writing the message down. That's what I mean when I say that. So this triple 888, the Infinity Gateway, is about the Aquarius Leo polarity through individuality, and the group dynamics as one. So August, because it's a 9-month, right, and it doubles the energy of each numerological day, this is even more potent. And it's actually very emphasized in an amplification way. So when I tuned into, before I meditated, I actually, I was just sitting like this. There was the sun going down, you know, and what I've heard or felt, it was like a song. And I started laughing for no reason. When I do that, I know it's the angelic presence. And I've been writing some things down, and I wrote lots of laughter, joy, expansion into the golden light. And like the angels and masters are so proud of us, dancing with us in deep spirit communion in the light. So it's that joyful feeling, you know, when you're giddy inside and you're just really excited because you know something is unfolding and it's going in the right way. And ever since lately, I've been getting these signs that it's all in the right way. And you have to believe me when I say this, I'm not making this up. But when I was in my nature retreat and when I saw other cars and whoever I parked in front of or behind, everyone was 88 license plate. And it was just so potent. The energy amplifies when we're seeing those numbers. We're magnetizing them through our own awareness. And we're going to talk a lot about, you know, magnetization here, and how do we attract and therefore create through it, because our manifestations are becoming more conscious when we're consciously magnetizing things. So just before I went out, someone reminded me, I saw an Instagram post of this song, and it's called Lovely Day. Just type that in YouTube. It's a very old song. I don't know the singer, I forgot. Is this black dude? Is this gorgeous singing voice? It's just such a beautiful song. And we had storm after a heat wave. And what happened was the song was just playing. I needed to play it on YouTube as I went for this walk and to record the video and the channeling. I had to play it 3 times, and I said it has to be in Divine Trinity. I had to hear it like 3 times. And when you align with a certain frequency, whether it's a song or message, movie, you know, pictures, photography, whatever it is, you're helping to magnetize that feeling just as well when we're also magnetizing negative things or impressions or past experiences that we somehow still hold in our field. And because our 4 lower bodies were still not fully synthesized and unified, we attracted a lot of that through polarity, which was not unified. And there's more understanding in this book of channeling. So it is a lot about the integration of the 4 bodies, because we need that to move into the white light integration, which is the unification of your ascended column, which will also be part of the ascending or channeled message for today. So this song, Lovely Day, as I was leaving, it felt very similar. I think they were guiding me into the energy of how this feels like for a lot of us at this time. And when I sat to meditate, I didn't have to even meditate. I just sat, I just closed my eyes, the sun was there. I already felt the joyful energy. And as well as with any channeling, which is also explained in this book by Barbara Burns, it's a different channel than the other 4 books, I think, or 5, I don't know. It's a lot of them. It's also explained here that it's basically just learning to transcribe the energy impulses, and you, through your creative imagining, through your imagination, you're giving them meaning, and you just need to practice. So before I start reading you the channel message, I have a little secret to tell you as well. I received on my trip this insight, or I was a little bit before, but I think it was during my nature retreat that I received a message that, because I always seen that there's going to be 12 mastery courses, and we came up to the level 10. So the next one will be about me helping you to become your own guide, to really become the pure channel, the spirit guide, so you can actually create that space for yourself and for others, so you can really become the spirit guide for others, because the planet really needs justified, integral beings, sovereign beings who are guiding others as well. Not giving advice, you know, nothing new agey, not just wishful thinking, but truly becoming the purity of the spirit guide. So it's almost like me as a spirit guide passing all this knowledge to you. So now the next level will be, okay, you've mastered your life force, right? This was the 10th level, the Tantrika Life Force Mastery course. And then what do you do with it? Then you created your own mastery foundation. Then you went and you go out into service, and you start guiding other beings of light back into their own divinehood in divinity of their self. So the keywords for all ascending souls of this powerful 888 gateway I also have written here, and you can tune into that or internalize it. Sorry, I'm talking fast because there's a lot to talk about today. And I hope I have enough battery, so that's the only reason why I'm hyper in my ways. Otherwise, I would take as long as I could, but then the video would be over an hour and the camera probably died. So the keywords are simplicity of being, self-fulfillment and interdependence, and this is what I really felt on my nature wilderness trip. Joyful celebration, reaching a pivot climax point in personal mastery, and also in the entire Earth's history. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, are we leaving legacy? And the master was like, yeah. It was really beautiful. So we're gonna go into the message now. In the final part, I'll read you some of the paragraphs from the channeling book. It's really beautiful. At first I had a little I somehow was guided to get it. Either way, I thought, oh, different channel, I don't know, I'm not into channeling really. I thought it would be about something else. But what the book was about and the way it writes through simplicity of truth, which is my language as well, because Spirit knows only simplicity of being, and all the truths are very simple at their core. They're all unified. It really surprised me, and it was the same energy, because when you read channel, even if it's two people, if it's the same being, the words, the way the energy speaks to you through that being will be the same energy. And I really noticed that it's the same energy, essence speaking through it to you. So I highly recommend this, as well as this one, Light Techniques, because we are talking about manifestation through becoming beings who are magnetizing, or experiences through our ascended white light. So let's move on to the message, okay? So dear Spirit and all of the light, we would like to receive a channeled message for this 888 gateway for all ascending beings of light. Okay, so here we go. If I make any mistakes, it's because the writing is really tiny, and I excuse myself already beforehand. Are we ready? We are ready. Beloved ones of the light, it truly and surely is a powerful gateway you are finding yourselves walking through. Never before in Earth's history have so many beings of light achieved this profound state of deep soul embodiment while remaining yet in human physical form, let alone in such mass consciousness alteration, accelerating the rate of overall frequency, and holding hands in spirit while doing so. While many have lived very dedicated or even isolated lives up until this point in their soul's evolution, there has been group dynamics playing out simultaneously. One only needs to shift into the soul awareness perspective, and they will swiftly begin to receive a more expanded vision of what is really happening on this planet, from the creation of the causal levels of the spirit planes and the descent of this refined vision on Earth, which is expanding the quality of the physical life. Yes, of course, there are still those who suffer and cannot find themselves or navigate through the physical planes, which keeps them currently locked into the three-dimensional perspective of separation only. But these are younger souls in terms of evolution from their core expansion into life, and these have not come here at this time to ascend. There are also those who play the games of power and control as of yet, but we are also not addressing those. Many have seen that there are as many unfolding planetary realities as there are souls having their experience here. But we have to be very discerning and direct when we focus on the Ascension timeline, for this is the reality we are discussing here. And although this timeline has many facets and fractions, it is a composite of the endeavors of many as the group of the Ascenders, or the Ascending Ones. And when we zoom in to this reality, we see such majestic beauty and expanding awareness of each individual, but also the contribution and co-creation within the group dynamics. Many evolving souls have finally learned that the one means the many, and that the many are all one, each accessing and expressing sourceness in their own way. And as one contributes to the whole with their gifts of soul individualization, they literally turn the light on, and they begin to sparkle. That level of beingness becomes a highly charged particle of light, a lightly, brightly magnetic being in terms of the laws of creation, which we replace with the words attraction. Such a being literally begins to magnetize and materialize on the soul level only, for they have completed the merge of all their lower bodies and entered into the creation of the white column of light. You see, beloved ones, the creation of the white column does not make one dull or lose their individual traits of soul-created personality. It only makes one unified, and it strengthens its magnetics at the very core creation level. You see, such a being does not only have to become a pure channel and conduit of light, but they also have to operate at the level of creation's neutrality, which isn't really neutral in human means of understanding that word. Divine neutrality, as opposed to mistakenly used term non-attachment or detachment, is a state of source who marvels at its creation, whatever that may be in each moment. In this sacred space, one becomes highly charged at the core creation level, as opposed to being charged on the level of non-unified polarity and the ego personality. The level of creation-based polarity is a state where all sacred laws and creation principles exist in pure unity consciousness. So when one is ready to merge their inner polarities fully, they rapidly and naturally accelerate their ascension in the physical, for they begin to mimic creation itself on every level of their unique source to soul expression. On this core level, and may we say that so many beings have now fully activated their white ascension column of light, the laws of creation change. This shift, of course, requires its adaptation phase, just as everything else in life does. So when the switch is on and activated, it takes a while before the whole body gets it and begins to mimic and fully reflect this ascended form and way of being. So from the activation of the white pillar to the full embodiment of it in one's physical life, there is quite a journey. And this is what many beings will begin to experience now, this shift into a totally new way of being. It hasn't always been easy before. The activation of the white pillar of light was complete. But once it's done, the seeming old challenges, contradictions, and old programs of separation begin to easily dissolve and just simply drop away. Yes, this is a majorly important stage, and many are experiencing it now with increased potency of the 888 number and gateway of infinity and the entire eclipse season. This acceleration triggered the last remnants of self-healing and repetitive core patterns of duality for many ascending ones. And that is why this time, and especially this year, has not been easy for many beings, because it is, after all, a one universal year of new beginnings and initiatives. And never has a new initiative been easy, born out of pure creation void and pure trust. This trust has not been easy to master for many, and yet we are at a pivot point where total surrender into the existence of pure being is created in physicality, where the Holy Spirit's presence reigns and sets all life free to be all that Source has envisioned it to be, at the highest level of divine creativity in the divine plan of perfection. There has been deep challenges, yes, because so much was wanting to come through to the surface, to be released and integrated during the course of one's ascending lifetime only. But because of this major shift, there has been an increased levels of divine assistance and intervention as well, with many spiritual teachers and way showers, including this being, this channel, me. So all those on this path can surrender the difficulty, because it will be required to increase the levels of divine trust into the divine plan on this next level of the Source vision within the divine plan. But it will not feel as difficult as so much has been released already. It will feel natural, joyful, and easy to trust and to know the divine plan in each sacred beating heart of the Ascended One. So far, an expanded pathway of living is in preparation for many, but first this graduation phase needs to be fully completed and mastered from every angle of expansion and creativity. And once this is complete, each ascended individual will feel this deeply within themselves. Something will just click and say yes. Someone will just know, and so it will be. And then there will be a period of void, perhaps, and then a new sacred calling shall occur, and it will be as fresh, empowered, and sparkling as the new truly is. There is always assistance available, so one must only know this deeply in their heart. Surrender and trust in the pathway just ahead, which is no longer just one step at a time, but rather a human divine legacy of accelerated multidimensional expansion of light. Therefore, at this time, many may be guided to retreat, inwardly and outwardly, detox, purify, and deeply reflect. This is all being guided and for greater good, so all concerns of this form of retreat are to be surrendered to the divine, and by increasing and affirming the trust in the divine plan. As of what lies ahead, a lot of that will be dedicated to the mastery of this new domain of creating, magnetizing within the ascended framework. The channel, again me, created a wonderful course on life force mastery, which serves as one of such mastery tools for the new. May you strive ahead fearlessly without resistance and flowingly. All infinite blessings of the light to everyone. May the light of the One live fully on earth through everyone, manifesting their way of the divine plan. Holy, 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 Lord One, the living source, creator of all. And may we all receive this message in deep gratitude. Thank you, Spirit, and all of the light of unity. And after this, I also created my own phrasing, which came as a part of us becoming magnetic, we become magical. And I gave this message, which goes like this. Don't ever forget that you are pure magic. When you begin to experience yourself as such, by relating to yourself in this way, magic of sacred alchemy will respond to you, and Source will fully live through you in its complete state of self-realization. That is why you are here, beloved. So before we go on reading some paragraphs, I also wish to say that the ways you are creating are changing. And you will start noticing this with each phase of surrendering the way you used to do things. There will be a period of void. And before this video, I made a video on the sacredness and the meaning of the void. And the void in its true divine nature is not to be mistaken for when you have periods when you feel lost and confused because you're not going the right pathway, and then you usually have the dark night of the soul or soul initiation. The void is literally a space of nothingness out of which the new is fully reborn, and that goes along with the symbolism of the phoenix, which then is an eagle, and first is the scorpion and the eagle and the phoenix. So because we magnetize things, because we're feeling beings, we're not just thinking beings, we're feeling beings as well. And before we unify all of our lower bodies, so that's required for us to have a white pillar of light, Ascension. And as the message said, a lot of you have activated that. Now it's going to be a time of shifting into, okay, how do I fully live it and experience it in every way on earth, right? Not just have a partial experience of that, but a fully embodied experience. So now I wish to read you some paragraphs from this book, and then we're going to be through. I wish you such a beautiful, beautiful time on this gateway, because it's truly such an empowering time, and it is all about how we're going to create, literally manifesting through becoming who we truly are at our core self. So the first thing I really wish to read you is this aspect that I always very strongly emphasize in my own videos of how important it is to understand that we're here to embody our soul. Not to move into our soul, but embody our soul. And Vivamo says, this awakening begins to happen as you start to anchor in your dense physical structure the energetic power of the whole self. Many people still believe within their core realities that spiritual energy is too refined, too perfect to be effectively integrated into the earth plane. They continually focus on extending themselves into the higher dimensions rather than directing their efforts towards expressing their divinity through their physical world of consciousness. You can hold your spirituality out of the physical body if you wish, but in doing so, you cheat yourself of the fullness of living that is the earth's gift to you. What we are talking about is bringing your divine self deeply into the body and through it into the earth. As this begins to happen, it activates your structure and the latent capabilities and ideal patterns that are hidden there, hidden in your DNA. And as you know, we can communicate with our DNA. I have a course called the Galactic Consciousness course, which teaches you all about how to become the activated being of your galactic heritage, which is truly empowering and to activate yourself on that level. So as you can see, as well as many people talk about going somewhere, and there's a lot of terms used in New Age, such as, you know, oh, something, we have holes in our aura, you know, I just thought of that. And we say these things, but we never ascribe a meaning. Okay, what does it mean? What does it mean I have a hole in my aura? People just start saying things and they start repeating them, and it becomes a new belief and a pattern without the understanding of what this truly is. So for me, this is what New Age is. It's a lot of beliefs, again, created. It might be beliefs on spiritual levels, but they're still beliefs. So when we understand, okay, what does it mean to have holes in your soul? You can communicate always to your soul, with your soul, and this is what this book does. It gives you a lot of exercise on that. And when you do, you will get all the answers, all the confirmation about yourself, which is also how you can heal yourself through your own consciousness. Because a lot of times we create injuries, and I give you the example of what my mother created for herself through her recent injury with her hand and her wrist. As we create these injuries and we don't understand that there's aspects of us that are in pain, immediately move into separation. So what Spirit recently showed me is, you know, we're so used to saying, oh, this part of me is injured, so it must swollen. It's swollen because it's just what happens. We have these beliefs, like we have it about aging. We need to age, and, you know, why does things need to swallow? Why? Recently Spirit showed me is because if there's a huge swelling you have, you know, in a certain aspect of your body that was injured, is because that aspect is starting to isolate itself, and it's not able to receive from other aspects, other bodies, other cells that are always working in community. So that's a part of the community, so that all your cells in the body are aligned. This is the first aspect of you becoming a creator being a creator within your own body, all the cells united as one team. And this means that this aspect has started to move into separation. Oh, I'm all alone, I'm in pain, you know, and then you start absorbing these beliefs. Oh, I'm wounded, you know, all these perceptions about yourself, or sometimes past traumas that you haven't yet released. So there's a lot of exercises here to work really in a refined levels of your subtle spiritual domain. Channel everything for yourself, so you can then become perhaps a channel for others. So we have to accept new ways. It doesn't have to be painful. We don't have to have swollen regions. It happens because we are, if something is injured, we immediately move into separation. That part of the body perhaps feels separate. So that's one example. And I want to read you from the beginning. There's a lot of, again, talking about the 4-body mastery, which is a precursor to having a unified column of light. I want to read you, which is how to really become a guide in our own mastery. When all the focuses of self really agree and get into a complete alignment with the soul about your relationships with others, self as a whole begins to send out only one message to other people. This is a unified way of conversing, of communicating, and this book teaches you all about why and how divine communication is so important, because it's the program of source evolving through communication, of consciousness to consciousness, so point of reference of that consciousness to another, not just personality to personality, but our souls communing, which is the highest level of communication. So physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, you are communicating the same soul-inspired message. Because one example was, you might say something, but your energy says something else, and someone really intuitive will feel it, and they will go like, that being is not in alignment. They're saying something, but they're emanating a different energy. So after a while, people begin to think that you're a very, very focused and clear person. Did you ever wonder why sometimes a perfectly good idea isn't very convincing to other people? Often this is because part of you might be telling them another story. When you're saying the same thing to people at all levels, they really receive the message. And if it is a message that is coming from the very highest level, it is a high, clear, loving, life-filled truth that doesn't bring back attack, scorn, or rejection. Once in a while you draw a blank, but that's because the personality level just doesn't know how to respond to the truth that their soul has communicated to you through your soul. So this book is also a lot about becoming our sovereign by mastering our own communication. So we start to understand, and we're no longer triggered by these automatic processes and responses over and over again by other people. Now I want to read you. The sun is really going down. I wanted to finish it before, but some people came and I was having a conversation with them. It was really funny. It was cute. So you have had many experiences, this is about how we attract and magnetize, wherein your hopes and ideas seemed as if they were just about actualized. But they were so real, so clear, so right, and then they didn't happen. Sometimes you look back and say, well, it was just as well. And sometimes you feel that some great event just touched you and missed. So it's like a feeling, etheric impression, but it's not physically attained. You know about your physical structure, the etheric body proper that I have been talking about. That's the one that brings your creativity through to your daily life. You could say that your first and second chakras, the root and polarity chakras, these are the ones that get together and bring into physicality the energy that you have brought in from the higher levels, your inspiration, your idea, your desire that it be so. This really comes into the second chakra area. So here it is really deeply explained how we manifest in our bodies. Again, embodiment. And I have a whole course on soul embodiment as well, which helps you to manifest that for yourself. A lot of people think they're embodied, but they're very scattered in terms of their energy presence. A very complete whole person will feel very direct, will feel very focused, will feel very get together kind of being, someone who has it together. So we are taught how in the root chakra a lot of people believe, oh, this is where it all happens. Yes, we need that to be anchored on earth so we can physically make it happen. But then in the second chakra, which is the part of our creative sexual expression, when unified in polarity, sends this up into the heart. The heart is the middle, it's the anchor point, and then through the communication area we verbalize that out so that it's in purity. If it's not aligned with our soul, again, we can have a lot of miscommunication, which begins with the self, which means not being honest with what we truly desire, and we accept those half-truths or half-manifestations, which again are not really what we want. So let's read more on this magnetization process here. So now there's many other things that you might hold on to strongly. For example, your ideal sense of who you are, and this talks about the emotional body which holds on to things, which is when you feel with something, you resonate with something, right? So it means you're holding it in your heart center. So, and perhaps some of the realization that you've had in your meditations, you really want to magnetize them in the emotional level and hold them so that you don't have the experience of having a flash of illumination. And then when you go to look at it again, it's gone, you know, just like something on a whim and really powerful, but then it's gone and you feel crappy again, let's call it like that, and you can't feel that joyful, ecstatic resonance. So when this happens, it is frequently because you didn't magnetize it. So we can have a positive magnetization or negative. And one of the most important things to magnetize here, it says, is your sense of your own divinity. Sometimes you feel very powerful and very bright and very much a divine being, quite unlimited, and then it seems to slip away, and all of a sudden you feel very small, unworthy, and not particularly divine. And a part of this is because we're learning still to unmagnetize those kind of like things and perceptions we're still holding on. And if you're a volunteer soul, you get that through imprints, and it's going to be all in my book, A Mission of Volunteer Souls. So magnetizing very deeply your unlimitedness is the thing that gives you your joy forever in physicality. So a part of the problem with negative magnetization is that we magnetize all the unpleasant things too if we want to hold on to them, because the emotional body is not bad. Why we judged it as bad in the past, to say, oh, emotions, you know, because we associate it only with the negative spectrum of the emotional sensing, or because of these magnetizations that we were drawing upon ourselves through, we said, oh, we had these feelings and it really happened. Oh, emotions are bad. We're going to suppress them. Or I'm just going to go in the mind now. Or I'm just going to float into my spiritual sense. This is still not a fully aligned and unified for lower body system. So you need to create this. We need to do the synthesization. And why I'm reading that for the 888 gateway, because this is the most potent time to really walk through this gateway, purified of all these unwanted magnetizations that you no longer want. So you can really become the creator on a core creation level. So you magnetize when you say that, and the experience, you know, you say, I will never do this, or I shouldn't do that, and I would never want this to happen. You actually magnetize it, and the experience and your responses to it at all levels come along with you for lives and life. So it's like a vicious circle, right? And we know that, and many people know, but they still can't find a way to release. So how do you release? How could we know that, right? But then how do we release? It's basically very simple. Like I said, you surrender into your group complex, because that complex is a neutral force of light, and you don't have to hold on to it. And that is already part of the white light, which immediately neutralizes everything. So the heart is really the center, or the emotional body as well, for holding and magnetizing. So you might want to take another look at some of the judgments that you have made against the emotional body, and realize that although it is sometimes hard to release things out of the emotional body, it is not because the emotional body chose on its own to store them in the first place. It was our distorted perceptions, right? Okay, so what I want to read you now is when you transcend this, right? When you really reach that light quotient of divine neutrality, is there's a higher level of the mental body, because there's also a mental body that we call the knowingness. And that knowingness beyond the rational day-to-day mundane thinking brain gets us into a space of pure beingness. And what Spirit recently showed me is that a lot of people don't even know what beingness means. We all say we're a being, or we're beingness, or experiencing beingness, but people are really just living their lives. A very small percentage of the ascending souls are really tuning into the beingness, because the beingness is the creator within us. And that means a state of pure knowing, soul to soul, knowledge, in a wisdom sense, the crystallized wisdom. So if you have any questions, you know where to find me, although I'm pretty away at this time. If you have any guidance to go on your own retreat, special spiritual quest, now would be the perfect time to do so. It is very potent during the eclipses. It's not about where you go in terms of location. It's not about that kind of thing. It's that you inwardly withdraw yourself from all the influences that perhaps would kind of hinder you at this time, because there's so much inner work to be done in this shifting process. So I wish you so much joy with that, and there will be a new way of creating, presenting itself to you, and I'll be here guiding us, guiding all of you along the way. As when I go on these retreats, I receive guidance and I purify so that I can guide myself in a way that I can provide this extending outwardly to other people as well who are part of the group. So thank you for understanding. When sometimes I'm away, it's for a greater reason. I can't always be there, although I'm always here. Again, consciousness presence always is. You can work with me anyway. If you want to work with me via sessions, that's always there on my personal services page. You can find me there. But during these 2 weeks in between the eclipses, I will start to bring together the third book on the lumen unions and the seed of life, and some other things I'm creating. So a lot of things, and you know, I really am hoping to by the fall produce that course, which will be the next level, the 11th level of self-mastery, which will be becoming your own guide, your own spirit guide, and for others. So thank you for being with me. If you ever wish to contribute to the light of our group, because we're one, you can find my donation page in the link below or whatever on my page. I really desire this to be the most magnificent time for all of us. And if you have a sense of trying something you never did before, that also expands your energy, and just go for it. Take a leap of faith into that new unknown. I love you so much, as you know. I love sharing, but sometimes I also am in the non-sharing space, and that's perfect too, because then I'm really integrating for what I'm going to share next in the next stage, and are always expanding now. I love you, and again, talk to you soon. So much love, wisdom, and power. May you have the most beautiful gateway.